This video is about drawing a graphic using Java. The first step is to import all the necessary classes. I have already done so. Next, you must have your class extend JPanel. You will need JPanel because you will be using a frame for this program. To draw graphics on the screen, you must use a method called paintComponent. PaintComponent's parameter is a object of graphics type. Here, I named it G. We will be using it to do things like set the color and fill shapes. Next, we must put super.paintComponent and pass in our parameter of G. This is done to call the superclass's paintComponent. The next step is to set our background color. This is done by doing this.setBackgroundColor. This is referring to this object, and the parameter will be a color. It'll just be color dot and then the color in all caps. First step to drawing an object is setting the color of that object. This is done the same way as it does to set the background color. To draw a rectangle, you must type g.fillRect. FillRect method has 4 parameters. The first 2 are for the x and y position, and the last 2 are for the width and height. This will draw a solid rectangle that will be filled with the color you specified above. To draw a shape with a custom color, you do the same thing as above, g.setColor, but instead of putting a color constant as a parameter, you would do new space color parentheses and then specify how much red, green, and blue you want in your color on a scale of 0 to 255. Repeat the same process as above with the g.fillRect and then specify your position and size. Next, I'm going to show you how to print multicolored text on the screen. The process is quite similar to drawing a shape. First, you must set your color. This is done the same way as above. You can do either color setting method using a custom color or a color constant. In this case, I will be using a color constant. This next step is where you have to do something different. Instead of fillRect, the method you use is drawString. The parameters of this method are the text you wish to display and the position of the text. In this case, the text displayed will be Java coding. This method is now finished. Time to move on to our tester class, but first let me fix a mistake I made earlier. Then, compile your class and then create a tester class. I have already done this to save time. Be sure to import the required packages. The first step is to create a new frame. This is done by instantiating a new object of JFrame type. The parameter in this case is the title you want the frame to have when you run it. Here I have set the title to title of frame. The next step is to set the default close operation. In this case, we will be setting it to exit on close, which means the program will exit once you close the window. Next step is to make an object of the class you made earlier, whatever you named it. The name of the class I made was animation. The next step is to add that object you just instantiated to the frame you instantiated by doing j.add and then the parameter is the object you instantiated. The next step is to set the size of the frame. Then set the visible to true to make sure the graphic you printed actually appears on the screen. Then just compile the class and run the program. The intended output should be 2 rectangles of different color and text printed in blue.